Basically, I'll be sharing some of the best practices we've had in pitching our releases to media, and also some of insights. Because I used to work also as a journalist. So, short bio. So I'm a journalist turned hype woman for Hiroshima University. So I call myself hype woman because my main task is to spread word about our fantastic research and the work and activities we are doing at the university. So before that, I was working at CNN Philippines and Philstar.com as an editor. Now I'm wearing multiple hats as international communications manager at Hiroshima University. So some of the tasks I do is science communications, actually science and other communications, because I also write about, for example, if there's a ranking that listed one of our researchers as a top rising scientist, or if we landed on a best reputation list. So I also look for those kind of stories and write about them. Media outreach, so that's the one I'll be talking about right now, and SEO, search engine optimization. Okay, so let's dive in. So first, I want to talk about the anatomy of a. Oh wait, I lost everyone. Can you see me? I can't. I can't see you guys.
We can see
I,
you.
we can see you. You're
Ah,
fine.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So it's only on my end. So
Yeah.
anyway,
You just have to talk into the void.
okay.
Okay.
So anatomy of a a pitch. So first, what I do is I build my target list of journalists. I try to avoid mass pitches. And next is that I research and personalize the pitch. So a sample is here. So basically, I start to build my target list by using this site search on Google. So when you do that, you can identify like news agency you want to send your release to. So site sciencealert.com. For example, we have a volcano eruption study. So I try to look for that. And then all the stories about the topic will appear. So I try to look for the authors of those stories and check them out on Twitter. Uh, Next is that format your news release, but format your pitch like a news release, but make it more scannable and capture the excitement of the scientists in your pitch, and or try to answer the why in the release. So a sample of that is this speech I sent to Tomoko of the Japan Times. I think Tomoko also worked before with the University of Tokyo. So here's a sample. Actually, this is one of the longer pitches that I've sent, but to make it more scannable, I tried to like bullet points all the key statistics in that study. So to answer the why, there's been lots of reports about COVID-19's long term effects on the health, but I've never seen much studies looking at the community life of the survivors. So I tried to focus on that on this speech. So, but during this time, I think as you can see from my pitch that Tomoka just wrote about the long COVID, so she's not keen yet that time to write another piece about it. But because of this speech, we are already on her radar. So the next time she wants to write about it, like she has us to think about. Next is that, oh, here, I mean, this story we did not pitch, but I just want to talk about it. The importance of capturing the excitement or answering the why. So we have these two studies published like a year apart, and one talks right away about the importance of that finding to the public, and the other is like is a more technical one. So even though both of the stories was picked up by the usual Science Daily, feast.org, um, this one, the story about the AI taught to rapidly assess disaster damage, so humans know where help is needed the most. This one got picked up by mass media, so it got picked up by Input magazine. And what's great about this is that right away on the lead of the story, you can read Hiroshima University's name. Branding is there right away. And then this feature resulted into another feature. Like for me, I'm already happy about this one, but our researcher, Miura Sensei, was so happy because it also got picked up by the American Society of Civil Engineers. So it's important really to put the why right away, so that journalists could see it. Next, link, don't attach. So for this part, usually I think in other universities as well, it's like this. Like when there's an attachment, it's flagged as junk because maybe it may contain a virus. So it's the same way with newsrooms. So it's better if you link your release within the pitch instead of putting in an attachment. And don't forget your call to action. So you can see here at the end. So right here, you're telling the journalist that you can check out the research here. And if they need anything, that they can just let you know about it. Oh, here. This is a call to action. So insights from an ex-insider. So as I had said before, I also worked as a journalist. So one thing is that be helpful. So journalists will appreciate it. So I think Kathy already touched on this before, like they produce videos, photos that could be helpful, because as a journalist before, that's one of the things that we always look for. Like, do you have a photo that I can use for this one? Because newsrooms, we don't have our photos ourselves. We have also to rely on you guys. So I also want to include like one no that got us yeses. Like before I pivoted in my career, I took a lot of classes on PR. And one thing that they usually say is that don't pitch stories on social media. But when I was a journalist, I always used Twitter. And I was okay getting pitches from that platform. So I figured other journalists would be as well. So I tried reaching out to some journalists on Twitter. And actually Tomoko, the sample pitch I showed you before, that was on Twitter. And we've landed media coverage from there. And also don't ignore this important off-platform queue. So remember before about the link. So when you click that summary text, you have to think about the summary text, this part, because it not only tells a preview like of what the story will be about. Like sometimes you can also use this to capture the excitement, what's exciting about this study. So anything that's helpful. And one more thing is that if I get one yes, and then I stop, because there's only two of us in our team. And if I keep on teaching the same story, like we won't have time to look for the next research or to do the newsletter. So all it takes is one yes to get the flywheel working. What I mean about the flywheel is that, for example, this speech I sent to Connor Feely of Discover Magazine. So as you notice, I also pitched this on Twitter and it landed as media coverage. So as I've said, personalize and do your research. So after I looked for stories, for research, for stories about neuroscience on Discover Magazine, I found some of his work. So I went to Twitter, checked it out, and since I thought that he's a perfect match for our study, I contacted him. And right here, you can see the call to action. So this was a study. So this is a summary text. So it landed in this coverage. And then since we have already a relationship with him, when we had our next neuroscience study, I pitched it to him again, and then we landed another coverage. And what's good about this coverage is that it landed to more coverage, even though we didn't pitch it anymore. So new scientists learned about our researcher on that neuroscience study, and they also wrote about it. Oh, and take advantage of low-hanging fruits, aka newsworthy studies. So actually, we've just tried to be more active in looking out for such stories at the start of this year. So if you have what we do is that we have a monitoring service from Asia Research News, and they send us a list of they sent us data of everything that mentioned the keyword Hiroshima University. So what I do is that each month I check all of those and try to find research related to Hiroshima University. And whenever we find something that we feel is newsworthy, we try to reach out to the scientists or our researchers if they're willing to have a release about it. And then the sweet spot for following up, and the 2 words you will need for it. Another thing is that I've told Yuan and the Yumi about this before. One thing that I can't believe it was really taught in PR classes is that there's this sort of template on following up. Like after you send your first message, you can send a follow-up after 2 days or 3 days, and then 8 days, and then this number of days. And when I was a journalist, I find that really annoying. And I think there are a couple of surveys also that where journalists pointed out following up as one of the things that annoy them, because most of the time they are not related to what we're covering. So that's going back to the importance of personalization before. So what I actually did, I tried this out to maybe 5 journalists and I didn't get the response. So what I found out is that one follow-up is enough. And I just write them this one. So, hi, any interest? So most of the time they reply by this time. And just shoot your shot. And if you get rejected, don't fret. Sometimes rejection could lead to a media landing later. Like earlier, my sample about Tomoko, even though she didn't pick up our pitch before, since she already knows about us and the research that I pitched before, when she decided to actually write about the psychological toll of COVID, we were the first ones she talked to. Oh, and I just always pitch to different journalists, even though they say no, because it's also a way to start a relationship with them since they already know you. Like this one I sent to National Geographic. And what's interesting about this though is that, oh wait, like we have this animal research that we pitched to them, and they said no because some carnivores really do this. They really try to like schedule so that there's resources for everyone. But what's interesting is that since we wrote about it in a way that related it to like a human workplace, this study was eventually picked up by Forbes. So it's an animal study, but they found a business aspect on it, on that one, and they use it as a takeoff point for this story. Oh, sorry. And then some tools. So these are some of the tools that I use to look for journalists. So TweetDeck, Alltop, Harrow, Explain Paper. So Alltop is this one, alltop.com. Because I am not aware of all the publications available out there. Like the last time we have this story about the labor market, and I'm not that familiar with business media. So I try to look for leads here. And that's what I use to find journalists. TweetDeck is really good in finding emails because since journalists are already there, you can just put your username and then type like email or message me. So the keywords that most likely is going to be used by journalists, so you can contact them. And then from the results, you can see their actual email there. So I've reached out to a few journalists this way. And by the way, I think that this will not be free anymore. Right now it's free, but I think there's this announcement that it will be part of Twitter Blue in the future. But take advantage of this while it's free, or if you have money, you can get Twitter Blue.